Hi, my name is Roman Bodnarchuk, and I really appreciate your time today. I want to talk to you about an incredible investment opportunity, specifically in real estate. At the age of 14, I was able to purchase my first rental property. I was able to become a millionaire at 30 and get to $1 million a year by 35. So most of that has come from the real estate success. So what I can tell you about today is a very interesting opportunity to own real estate in one of the most valuable places in the entire world. So location, 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 we're going to cover that, why this is as good as it gets. Number two, and an asset class which is doing incredibly well, which is the hotel business. Our location is in a place called Muskoka. And for those of you that don't know Muskoka, it's only 90 minutes outside of Toronto, which is the fastest growing city in North America. Over 100,000 people a year are moving into Toronto. Over 1 million people in Southern Ontario already live in a condo. It's become kind of a concrete jungle, and in 90 minutes away, they can be in nature. And for 200 years, they've been escaping to Muskoka. So Muskoka is a really special place. Recently, National Geographic said it's one of the few places in the world that can change your child's life. Consistently rated as the #1 place to vacation in the summertime. Again, this is by National Geographic. I mean, they've been to enough places in the world, so we can take them at their word. Recently, only a couple years ago, we had all the world leaders come for the G8 summit. So for 200 years, Muskoka has really been the lifestyles rich and famous. Today you find a lot of mutual fund managers, hedge fund managers, movie stars, all the athletes own place in Muskoka. So, you know, how it works in the Toronto lifestyle is once you get to that top, percentile of income and success, typically you buy a place in Muskoka. So for me, it was age of 30. The next part about Muskoka is I want to talk to you about specifically where we are. Gravenhurst is really the hub of Muskoka. Theater, entertainment, festivals, it all happens in Gravenhurst. Next, I want to talk about the value of Lake Muskoka. So historically, lakefront real estate in Muskoka is really expensive, and the bigger the lake, the more expensive it is. Lake Muskoka is the biggest lake in Muskoka, and it's connected to Lake Rosso and Lake Joe. So just to give you a real number, the average property that sold this year in Muskoka was over $1 million. It's actually been that way for almost 20 years. So the least expensive listing on MLS, multiple listing service, is around $400,000 for just kind of a raw vacant land, and it goes up to $13 million. That's kind of the range. So let's talk about very specifically where we're located. We're in a brand new village. This is a waterfront village called Muskoka Wharf. It's a $170 million development that was recently completed, which has 1 kilometer of boardwalk that links the Seguin, the Winona, those famous steamships, with a series of restaurants and shops and all kinds of fun things. And our property is run by the #1 hotel brand for 15 years in 72 countries. And it's a fully furnished condominium. So you've got the best of both worlds. You have this beautiful condominium with all the full cleaning services you expect at the best hotels, but you also have a free breakfast and the indoor pool and the hot tub and the gym and the fire pits and all those other fun things that you'd expect at a 5-star resort. For those of you that have never invested in a hotel, hotels don't actually own any real estate. So what they do is they usually have a developer or a group of investors that purchase the property, and the hotel brand runs it for them. They're the operator, okay? And our hotel's no different. We have 106 units, and we have 106 owners. So each one is individually owned, but when you stay at our hotel, you would know that. If you bought a rental property in Ontario, you have some really interesting government rules. So for example, in 2013, you cannot raise your rent more than 0.6%. Hotels don't have that same challenge. Hotels can charge whatever the market will bear. Our hotel, since we opened 4 years ago, on average has been increasing our revenue between 10 and 14%. In the worst financial times when people stopped traveling, our hotel was growing 10 to 14% a year. Staggering. Now, could you earn more? Absolutely. If our revenue continues to grow the way we've seen it, it will absolutely grow. So it's a beautiful investment opportunity, and we're really excited to share more with you. Contact us to get all the exciting details. And I hope you make the right decision. One thing I've learned about all the investments I've made in my life, I've only regretted the ones I didn't make. I hope you don't make that mistake today, and I hope you invest with us in Muskoka Wharf. Richard, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. When this is your first time on our TV show, we're honored to have you. who is Richard Dolan? Tell us a bit about, your background. I know you're from Toronto. You've been married for 20 years and you've been very successful in business, but give us some of the insight. Tell us a bit about who is Richard Dolan.
Hey, listen, it absolutely is both a miracle and a blessing. I'm truly blessed. A high school dropout at the age of 16, I got kicked out of the house. My father said it's my way or the highway, and I said, well, the highway can't be that bad. It was bad. But nevertheless, at 16, I kind of got my bearings and fell in love with the people on the planet that were the top leaders, thinkers, and thought provokers by osmosis. I forced myself to be a student. Again, being a dropout, I had no post-secondary education, no formal education, no formal training to be an entrepreneur, so I was a self-study. So as I transcended all of that great learning experience, what began to happen was I was really enamored with the idea of mirroring those who were successful. And I felt it was at some particular point in my life to be then the custodian but ambassador for their work, to go out and share it and to re-give it, to regenerate it. And that's pretty evident through the work I do and the cause that I stand for and the education that we build at Rain.
It's interesting, your story, because I didn't know all this, Richard. And the smartest and some of the brightest, most successful people I know had similar experiences where they didn't get their true learning in the formal education system. They went out and got on their own. They don't teach you how to become wealthy.
Roman, I conducted some informal personal assessment of what the world's richest people were invested in. The Forbes 400, the Forbes richest. And I noticed every single year that over 68% of the Forbes richest either got wealthy because of real estate, stayed wealthy because of real estate, or grew wealthier because of their real estate holdings. So in the time that I've heard and listened to a lot of these leaders talk about what they do on air, what's more intriguing is that when you get them behind the screen, they're putting their money where their future is. It's not a matter of making decisions for the most exotic reasons, it's more pragmatic thoughts and reasons that make more sense.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. And I think a lot of people have had the same experiences that we've had. And again, I think that the second home resort market in Canada is going to boom. And the reason I feel so strongly about that is we watch that incredible cycle in the US. And we know, I owned a couple homes in Florida, and at one point, and this is when my wife thought I was crazy, our homes actually were worth almost 50% less than they were at the peak. That's the time to buy. And it's when everyone's telling you not to buy, that's exactly when to buy. And that's kind of how I feel about Toronto. Toronto's an amazing market, and if you need a place to live and it's about your lifestyle, fantastic.
Yeah.
But from an investment perspective, I can't recommend this to my friends and my clients because our prices, again, at our 21-year high. And maybe we'll squeak out another couple of years of all-time highs, but eventually that correction has to happen. I would rather call my friends on the correction and buy it 20-25% off, like we can in Muskoka and some other markets. So I think we share that belief, but I want just to hear from you, from your perspective, if you're sitting in Toronto today and you've got some cash, maybe you've got $100,000 in your RSP, or you got $70,000 in some money to invest, what kind of opportunities would you be looking for from an investment perspective? Where would you look, and what kind of properties would you look at?
Well, the first thing I would do is I would qualify where the cash is, and where I would definitely touch, and I'm not a financial advisor, so don't give financial advice, but most people who are watching the show have untapped, unleveraged equity in their home. And so what better way to in fact really harness the power of the growth in your home than to in fact open up a line of credit. Open up a line of credit and leverage it. Leverage your home because that is the time to do it. It's like a bank. It's just that you won't realize the fortunes that it has within until you sell. And chances are quite high you're not going to sell anytime soon because you need a place to live.
Yeah.
And so when you look north and you see the opportunity based on the phenomenons that we've been speaking to and referencing, such as lifestyle, the fact that people are going up there to rejuvenate, retire, and even actually in fact have recreational times, it's the right place to go. But here's the interesting, troubling fact, is that before people end up making those investments, they ask other, tougher questions. And we've summarized all of them in what we would call the great 8 weights. We know that there's 1, 2, or 5, or all of these 8 great weights that real estate investors typically get, kind of stuck by. And it's not just that they don't have the skill set to do it, because they can either go to a real estate investment advisor or talk to an equipped realtor or just go straight to the developers. But they don't have the mindset to in fact really put at play the education that they've got. They're going to get stuck by the fact, well, I don't have the money. Well, we just solved that line of credit. And if you don't have a line of credit, then why don't you go and join venture with your mom or dad? Right. Have a conversation with them about, hey, where's our money going to be when you pass on? Maybe we can reappropriate it now. A sister-in-law, brother-in-law, or some friends. Others are like time. or I don't have enough knowledge, or there's not the right opportunity. These are mostly excuses that people would tell themselves to stay away from the screaming opportunities in front of them. And so to understand what the 8 great weights are, they can go to our website and check them out. The point I'm trying to make though is to get clear that when you're stuck to make a decision about real estate, understand it's not about the economic fundamentals of the real estate. It's the fundamentals at play that are holding you back from making great decisions in real estate that you've got to be aware of. So if I had a $100,000 line of credit and I wanted to pull that money out, I would go to Muskoka, and the reason why I would do that is because number one, I can use that place. So for me personally and for my son and family, we can really appreciate that home away from home. Number two is I can also recognize the value of renting it out. What I like about Muskoka is that everyone's going up there. I have for my entire life only rented a place up in Muskoka. I've never owned a place in Muskoka. I've rented at Touchstone, and I've went to other places that escape my mind, likely because I'm still paying the bills off from them. But there's so many places up there that are just very expensive. And I didn't want to have a hotel to experience. But number three, more importantly, is that I want to be able to buy a place that I know I'll have property management in place. Because there's one thing I don't want to be doing is collecting rents and or fixing light bulbs or trying to understand why a toilet doesn't flush all the way from Toronto. So I certainly know that if I do invest up there, it's going to be a turnkey opportunity. But I would stress to viewers to look and explore why Muskoka makes sense for the reasons that we've been discussing.
Yeah, no, I think it's great advice. And I've been a big fan of Muskoka for 15 years, bought lots of properties. So here's what I learned about my experience. If you buy a condo in Muskoka, it's great because it's turnkey, it's terrific. But if you're looking at it from a rental perspective, it really doesn't make any sense because the rental season is really summer only.
Right.
And it's really hard to rent the rest of the year. So when you buy it, you kind of want to go in there in the summer and you'll find that the condo will sit empty the rest of the year because the rental demand isn't there. So it's kind of a tricky situation. So of all of my friends that all own places in Muskoka, I've only found one opportunity that makes any financial sense. And that's Muskoka Wharf. And Muskoka Wharf is a $170 million master plan on Lake Muskoka, literally 90 minutes door to door from GTA. It's a branded hotel by Marriott, which is a #1 hotel brand in the world,
Nice.
#1 in 72 countries. They do an incredible job. So when you get there, you get that Marriott experience. And they've actually been operational now for 4 years. What I love about that is we have 4 years of audited numbers, and the revenue is growing at 15% a year.
Nice.
So again, this is not a mystery, thing where we hope it's going to work. We know exactly the revenue, the income. So people can buy a condo hotel at the Marriott, literally with either no money through home equity, or maybe $70,000 down if they had the capital. But it actually cash flows positive, and they don't get the phone calls, they don't get all that kind of stuff. So for me, it's a great opportunity for investors that want that turnkey and buy at the right market cycle because they're buying at 25% less than they would have paid 4 years ago.
And you know what I love about this is that because I live north of the city already, I had a bit of a Muskoka feeling home. But the challenge is, and the fact remains, that when you look at Toronto's skyline changing every single day, all these people that are downtown are all going to want to escape the rat race of downtown, the concrete jungle that it is, and to get some greenery in their face. And so they're all going to be heading north. So what's interesting is with the influx of all this population growth from immigration and net in-migration, you're going to have this continuing phenomenon of this new rise of Muskoka and everything north of the city, largely because people are going to want to end up having a little bit of what we've been discussing through the entire show. So what's fascinating now is that aside from wanting to buy a place up there myself for just my family, I see it as an investment opportunity, personally. I see it as a place that, the millennials are going to want to go and spend some time up there. The Generation Xers are going to want to go and rejuvenate up there. And I don't mind, in fact, riding that wave, because what's in fact most incredible about the investment opportunities I see it is that they're not building a heck of a lot more lakeside properties.
Right.
And although there's lots of lakes, there are only name brand lakes, and you don't have the Marriotts wanting to build a hotel and or a facility and or a property like this one, like Muskoka Wharf, on all the lakes. And so there's something to be said about the investable asset worth of it over time.
Richard, again, you hit an amazing point. Talking about Muskoka, you can't build new hotels and developments in Muskoka. The gentleman that put this together, his name was Bruce Evans, and for 50 years, he was the largest employer in all of Muskoka, had employed more people than the government. And it took him 20 years to get to the zoning, to be able to build Muskoka Wharf. So this $170 million master plan, this is a once in a generation thing. If I cut a tree down, I'd be going to jail right now. I mean, Muskoka you can't be more anti-development than Muskoka. So there will never be another Muskoka Wharf. I know that for sure. So the interesting thing is we only have 106 suites in our hotel. And because of that, we have a 70% occupancy. So what happens is every year the revenues keep increasing 15% because supply and demand. There's so much demand, so little supply. I'll give you an example. Look at Collingwood. So for those who aren't familiar with condo hotels, at Blue Mountain, every single hotel there is a condo hotel. So you could stay at the Westin, but that's actually owned by John and Mary. So even though you don't necessarily know it's a condo hotel, we've all stayed in many condo hotels that are owned by private investors, but we didn't know it. But the challenge with Collingwood is there's 1,200 suites. So they can't get the same dollars per night or the same occupancy rates that Muskoka does because we have 106 suites on the biggest lake in Muskoka, 90 minutes from Toronto, versus in Collingwood where you've got competing every night with 1,200 other suites.
Wow.
And there's no issues in terms of they can keep building more. So Skyline just introduced, they're going to add another 1,000 units. So that supply keeps coming. And again, for an investor, it's hard to make money because you don't have that same issue. Muskoka is very different. Very little inventory, and that's why the prices are insane. When you're trying to rent a place, May, June, July, August, it's not only impossible to find, but the prices are crazy. Our hotel is sold out every weekend from the May long weekend to all the way to the long weekend for Thanksgiving. Every weekend, it's impossible to get a room. So it just gives you a sense of the demand. And again, what I love about this property is you've got supply and demand working for you. Number two, you're buying at 25 up to 30% below what the peak was in 2007. So you're buying at a discount, but more importantly, the cash flow positive because the revenue keeps increasing, our occupancy keeps increasing, and then finally the financing part that you mentioned, Pace Credit Union, one of the largest credit unions in Ontario, will actually do 100% financing on our product, which banks never do 100%. Just because of home equity, which is amazing.
So if I wanted to start right now, if I wanted to buy one of those locations right now, what would I need to get started? You'd
go to muskokawharf.com. There's a great little 5-minute intro video on it. There's a very detailed PowerPoint presentation, so you could register there. And what's really terrific about what we've done in Muskoka Wharf is we actually take you to a live inventory page. You can actually see the revenue, the income, the taxes of every single unit, and you join one of our webinars, which we get into more detail. And every weekend we'll be arranging some private showings at the property.
And what would I have to cut? What do I need to part with? So back to the original question, which was if I had $100,000 line of credit, what's the minimum I can cut into getting a part of this deal?
You'd pay 35% down because it's a commercial zoning. All hotels are considered commercial. So around $70,000 would get you in, and that will get you a beautiful 1-bedroom furnished, 650 square foot unit. Just stunning. Granite counters, stainless steel appliances, granite in the bathroom, beautiful units. But again, even if you didn't have the $70,000 cash, if you got $70,000 equity, Pace Credit Union can do 100% financing. Imagine banks' money, other people's money, interest rates under 3%, never before, never again are we going to see that. With an investment that has a proven 4-year track record already and has guaranteed cash flow. So to me, it's a no-brainer in terms of a starter investment opportunity.
So they rent it out, they manage the property, they make sure it's cash flowing, it's Marriott, so everyone's always Googling up in Muskoka where to go, and
exactly.
A hotel run type property makes the most sense.
Yes.
What would I be making net a year?
So give you an example. If you bought a $200,000 unit, just make the numbers easy, you're looking at about $12,000 profit per year. And if you were to finance that, let's say you put 100% financing, none of your own money, it would still carry itself. So even if you put no money down, it would still cover itself. So again, most people put 35% down, but even so with no money down, it'll carry itself. So again, I've never seen anything like it, and I don't think we will again.
What I like about it is that it's going to be a really great alternative to banking my money in the bank. I'd rather put it in real estate in a place where I know is going to have high value. It's going to retain its value given that you can't build more properties like that, not at least for the next 20 years, especially not even this next door, but on that lake. It is the Jewel Lake.
Yeah, no, there's 3 big lakes in Muskoka. This is the big one, Lake Muskoka. It's connected to Lake Jill, Lake Rosso. But your analogy is great. On a cash-on-cash basis, if you had, let's say, $200,000 you put in the bank, it'd be very hard to find anyone to guarantee a 6% cash-on-cash return. This actually turns out to be a much better guarantee because if you were to finance, let's say you put 35% down, it works out to almost 28% 28% return. Mm-hmm. Again, if you had $200,000 cash, that $12,000 profit would be a 6% cash-on-cash return. Over 2 years, it's 12%. So any way you slice it, Richard, the numbers make sense. Again, because the location, because of where it is, the brand Marriott, and I think because you're buying it at such a discount, because the overall second home market is in that cycle, and we're just coming out of it right now. So this is a great investment opportunity, for the right person right now.
It's a brilliant move. It's a brilliant move.
Excellent. So tell us about RAIN, and there's some upcoming seminars that we can join you at, and how can our audience get to meet you in person and learn more about RAIN?
Well, the first place that people can go is RAIN Canada, so REIN Canada.com. There they'll notice that we're the TED Talks, if it were, of real estate education and leadership. So we have a monthly seminar every month in Toronto, Ottawa, in Calgary, Edmonton, and Vancouver every single month. There'll be about 200 to 300 members that will show up to learn from insights from folks just like you, to learn about opportunities and to get some education on how to get into real estate for themselves. Online, there's some downloadable tools, there's some free books, there's some free webinars. If they email me, Richard@RAIN Canada, I'll be more than willing to give them a free guest pass to come on out to our next upcoming event.
Oh, that's amazing. And you talked about the eight
great weights.
8 great weights. And is that something we can also post on the website so people can download as well?
Absolutely. The 8 great weights are the very things that will have a real estate investor get stuck from not moving forward and be mobilized in taking advantage of a real estate opportunity. Those 8 great weights were based on some research that we had done on assessing where our real estate investor members were in fact getting stuck. And so while we surveyed, polled, we then codified what it was, and we found the 8 great weights. So we have tools and educational supplements, if it were, to get people pushed through those, sticky moments.
That's amazing.
It is cool.
So that's something that people can download on, and if you can give us the website again?
So it's RAIN Canada, so REIN Canada.com, and just look for the 8 great weights presentation, and you can download it for free.
That's awesome. Richard, thank you so much.
Thanks, Roman.
Looking forward to seeing you in Muskoka next.
Thank you.
Thank
Absolutely.
you so much. Appreciate it.
Until next time, this is Simon Giannini with the Real Estate Talk Show, giving you the inside scoop on all things real estate. Have a great night. In my 25 years of doing this, I've helped many people buy homes and invest in real estate, but I've never come across an opportunity exactly like this. Cottage time is here, and it's no secret that the most desirable cottage destination is, of course, Lake Muskoka. Now, if you're not familiar with the region, it's about 90 minutes north of Toronto, starting in Gravenhurst and Muskoka Wharf. It's truly one of the most beautiful places in Ontario, and the $1 million cottage estates are definitely proof that the Lake Muskoka is in high demand. In fact, $500,000 really only buys you a bare lot or a cottage teardown, and the reason for this is simple: it's supply and demand. When you combine the most beautiful landscape and limited waterfront and all of Southern Ontario wanting to be there, that's a recipe for a strong market. So how do you invest in the magic of Lake Muskoka without buying a multi-million-dollar estate? Well, if you're familiar with the Toronto real estate market, then you understand the concept of a condo hotel. In my opinion, a condo hotel is a perfect fit for the cottage lifestyle. Typically, cottagers will spend multiple weekends or maybe only a few weeks enjoying their cottage. And of course, what comes along with that? Well, you've got opening, maintaining, repairing, maintenance, and basically another home away from home. Owning a carefree condo hotel allows you to literally show up and start your vacation when you get there. And if you're like me, that's the way it should be. Now, best of all, the whole ownership condo hotel is an investment in the truest sense of the word. You're buying a suite at a successful hotel, and the management team is your management team. They rent your suite just like a regular hotel, and making it a truly turnkey property, earning income when you're not there. Now, when you've heard me say that I like my investments boring and my life exciting, well, this is the first opportunity of its kind where you can literally have both. Your bed is made, your room is clean, breakfast is waiting for you each and every morning. Now, how sweet is that? But before I get ahead of myself, let's go have a look. Let's take a look inside. Entering the lobby, you'll immediately feel the luxurious cottage experience as you stroll past a beautiful stone fireplace. As you may not expect, it also has an indoor pool for year-round fun for you and the kids, and an exercise room for those who like to keep up with their daily routines. Year-round fun at a cottage is not always what comes to mind, but I'll tell you that the snowmobiling trails, ice fishing, and dog sled tours are definitely catching on and worth the trip. By far the most impressive part of the hotel are the suites themselves. They boast warm earth tone decor with natural lighting, granite countertops, and fully equipped kitchens including stainless steel fridge, microwave cooktop, and dishwasher. Enjoy luxurious bedding, cotton-rich linens, plush sheets, and extra pillows to ensure a fabulous night's rest. The quality continues into the bathrooms and of course wouldn't be complete without the state-of-the-art LCD TVs. And now my favorite part, the $1 million Muskoka view from your private terrace. Now, if you live in the city or burbs, the Muskoka sunset and nighttime sky are guaranteed to take your breath away and will remain a memory that you'll want your grandkids to share. You'll also enjoy s'mores by the hotel campfire or wander off the property where the activities and adventures are limitless. Located right in Muskoka Wharf and has so much to do.
At the end of the day, this is what Muskoka is to me, being on the dock, on the water. You've got the $1 million Muskoka experience without the hassles, and if you want to go out for dinner, you've got a lot of choices in the area right here on the water. Boston pizza, but with a deck right on the water. Now that's what I'm talking about.
You can also rent kayaks, canoes, or even powerboats for your own personal scenic cruise or water ski, and Muskoka is also known, of course, for its beautiful golf courses. There are countless cycling and hiking trails, and if you're up to it, Casino-Rama is just 20 minutes away. Right outside the hotel is North America's only in-water exhibit of working antique boats. The Antique Boat Show takes place here, and of course the star of the show is the historic steamship. Muskoka steamship tours date back all the way to the 1870s, where they were originally built for the sole purpose of taking in the scenic beauty of Lake Muskoka. And one of these historic ships is still in use today and continues to be a favorite experience for tourists and residents alike. Its coal-fired engines send you back in time as it cruises down Millionaire's Row, exposing the breathtaking architecture of Muskoka's most luxurious estates. This opportunity to own a $1 million Muskoka experience without the hassle of a traditional cottage is definitely a unique opportunity. And I really like the idea of having a desirable location with an already successful in-house management team. Even if you're not the cottage type and you don't use the suite yourself, you have the security of knowing that you're investing in an area that's in high demand. And just so we're clear, this is not timeshare or fractional. You have whole deeded ownership, so you can sell your condo suite at any time. This is your investment. A luxury hotel among some of the most prestigious Muskoka real estate for a fraction of the price and no maintenance or work on your part. It really is an incredible opportunity. Call the number on the screen now. There's a limited number of units available, and I know this one's going to go fast. Thanks for listening in. This is Simon Giannini with the Real Estate Talk Show, giving you the inside scoop on all things real estate.